Beating bangers is one of the biggest challenges on the path to becoming an advanced player. If you can't handle them, making that jump to the next level becomes nearly impossible. And with modern paddle technology giving players more power and more spin, beating bangers is harder than ever. That's why it's essential to have a clear strategy to shut them down consistently. In this video, first, I'm gonna walk you through this step-by-step process to beat bangers every time. At the end of the video, I'll show you some examples and points, so stay tuned if you wanna see that. Helping me today, I have my sister Kennedy. So before I take you through this step-by-step process, let's talk about what banger strategy is and what you should be trying to do against them. So bangers are essentially players that hit very hard, especially from the back of the court. So they love to use drives, and a lot of the time they'll move in after hitting drives and crush the ball from the kitchen. So you don't want to pop it up against them like I just did there. Their goal is to try to get you to pop it up so that they can come in and crash on you like Kennedy and Drew just did to me. They also want you to miss in the net. They want to use power to intimidate you and get you to give them easy shots so they can keep smashing it. And what you're trying to do against these types of players is stay solid from the kitchen and keep them back by aiming for certain targets and keeping the ball low. So what are those targets? Generally what I say is that the targets are at the depth of your opponent's feet out to their sides. And they come with your opponents as they move forward too. So as your opponents are coming in, you need to make sure you aim lower so they can't intercept the ball out of the air. If I go deep when Drew's standing right here, he can still kind of attack. It's not the best shot, but he can still sort of attack it out of the air. So your goal is to hit these low penetrating volleys that keep them back. And as I hit these types of volleys on their hard shots, Drew might give me a higher one on the next one that I can attack. So as they're back, if they keep going hard at you and you're doing your volleys well, they should give you easier and easier balls that you can attack to end the point. So when you're playing bangers, it should look something like this. They're going hard at me, I'm aiming right at their feet, and see, if I do that, they might miss, or they could pop up the ball and give me an easier one where I can attack on. So on those lower volleys, you gotta stay solid and sort of punch them, which I'm gonna show you, back right at their feet towards their sides. Then as they go higher, I kill it. This is easier said than done though. It's hard to react quickly to a banger when they're hitting hard at you, and you have to make sure you're in this position. So now I'm gonna take you through the process you need to follow when you're playing these players so that you can do this every single time. So step one to beating bangers actually starts at the back of the court. And it's that you have to hit a high quality return against bangers and you have to get in quickly. And if I don't get in quickly on the return, it's going to look something like this. So even if I hit a decent return, he's going to be able to hit a really good drive that goes right at my feet. And he has a lot more of an angle to get the ball by me. So we need to hit a high quality return and we need to get in fast. But where does that start? Well, very commonly, bangers are going to have super hard serves. So hard serves a lot of time also mean deep serves. So if someone's serving very hard and deep at you, the first thing you can try doing is taking a few steps back off of the baseline when you're hitting the return so that you don't have to back up when you're hitting it. So you see, Drew hit a pretty hard serve there. I didn't need to back up on it because I was already standing a little bit back. If I'm standing right on the baseline and Drew hits a really hard serve, a lot of the time I might have to like back up to hit it, which totally stops your momentum going towards the kitchen. So it's gonna make you hit a worse quality return because your weight's not getting in behind it. And it takes way longer to get in the kitchen when you do this because your momentum's going backwards, then you have to take it forward. So in an ideal world, you give yourself enough space off the baseline so you can always be moving forward through the return so you get to that kitchen quickly. As you can see, Drew hit a pretty deep serve there, but because I'm standing 4 feet behind the baseline, I can take it on the rise and move forward to the kitchen without having to stop or move back. And when you're hitting your return, there's two main things that you need to focus on. The first is getting good depth. Because if I hit my return short when Kennedy's the banger, she's gonna have a very easy time driving the ball right at me. And on a shorter return, the ball is being hit closer to where I'm standing. So I have less time to react and her drives are going to be more effective. If I can hit the ball deep, her third shot becomes a lot more difficult and I have more time to react after she hits it. The next thing you can focus on is that if they're not giving you super hard serves, you can give it more power and that makes it a lot harder for them to hit a good drive. So if Kennedy's hitting a return like that, I can put some pace behind the ball. I can even put topspin on my return. That makes it a lot harder to hit a good drive. If the banger's serving really hard at you, that might be a little challenging, but if they're not, you might as well go for a bigger return so they can't take control of the point early. And the next thing, and arguably the most important thing you have to focus on, is that after you hit your return, you gotta get in quick, because if I don't, she's got a straight shot right at my feet, and I'm not going to be in a set position. So what do you focus on after you hit the return? All you have to think about is move in as quickly as you can, And then right before she hits the ball, jump into this sort of split step. This is a pretty wide one, but just sort of jump into a stance. It's a little more than shoulder width apart, because what you don't want to be doing is moving through their shot. So even if I can't get in all the way, if I'm moving through her shot, I'm just in a lot worse of a position than if I'm in my athletic stance. So even if I'm in the middle of the court, if she's hitting that ball, I want to jump into this stance so that I'm at least in a good position to react. It's much better to be in this position right here than moving forward, trying to get to the kitchen still as she's hitting the ball. In this position, she can go behind me. I'm going to be more off balance. So right before they're about to hit that third shot, you jump into that split and you're ready to react to their shot. So step 2 is what I mentioned, which is you need to establish your split step, which is a part of establishing a good ready position. So step 2 is to establish a very good athletic stance and good ready position. So after I run up for my return, I need to have a wide base, as I mentioned. You want to have your feet a little bit wider than your shoulders. But what's really important is that you want to have your paddle in the right spot too. So how I usually instruct people on their ready position is that they should have their paddle just above the height of the net, out in front, leaning a little bit towards their backhand. Your elbows should be a little bit out from your torso, and you should be something like this. This puts you in the best position to react to any sort of hard shot that comes your way. You should also be facing where the ball is coming from. So if the ball is coming from the player diagonal from me, I should be looking more like this, and my stance could even be facing towards them. So you're following the ball. If it's in front of me, I'm going to be facing like this. I'm going to be square to the court and square to the player directly in front of me. So when I'm in this position, I'm in a very good position to react, and if my opponent hits the ball at me hard, I don't have to do much movement to hit the ball. As you can see, I literally just have to go like this to hit the ball. That's a very hard drive coming at me. There's very little movement required. What you don't want to happen is you don't want to be standing straight up, you don't want to still be moving, and you don't want to have your paddle down, because look how much more challenging it is for me to hit the ball when I'm in this position. Right? It's very challenging for me to get my paddle right behind that ball quickly enough, and if she moves me to the side or something, I'm not in a good position to stay on balance, right? Because when you're in this position, you might have to hit multiple volleys. So it's very important that you hit the volley and you get back to the position so that you can move for the next one, right? If I'm only good for one volley, then I get straight up, it's going to be very hard for me to get back on balance and react to multiple banger drives in a row. So once you're up here in this position, in this strong ready position, step 3 is that you have to have the right technique when you're playing against a banger on your volleys, or you're not going to be able to properly hit towards the targets I talked about earlier. So what you need to know is that on a softer volley where the ball's coming to you softer in pickleball, you should have a very different technique than if the ball is coming at you harder. So what is the difference? Well, on a softer volley, I'm going to take more of a swing and I'm going to have a looser wrist. On a harder volley, I want to be much more firm and compact. So what does that mean? So by compact, I mean I don't want to be taking a large backswing. If I take a large backswing, which is hitting it hard, I could hit it really good like I did there, but I could also mistime it. So I might miss the center of the paddle, I might hit it too hard, I might miss it in the net. What you want to do is essentially just punch it, like that. So what I tell players is it's kind of like tennis volleys, but without any spin. You don't really want to be going for slice or topspin on these. When a banger's hitting the ball at you hard, you're really just punching it and using their power against them. So because she's hitting hard, I can sort of use her own power against her. And the way that I'm doing that is I have a very firm grip on the paddle. So on a soft volley, as I mentioned earlier, my grip is very loose and my swing is big and I'm holding the paddle loose. On these harder shots, I'm gripping it very tight. I don't use any wrist on that volley. And what that does is it kind of makes the sweet spot expand because I'm holding the paddle so stable, it's not going to shake as much on an off-center hit, which makes the sweet spot feel bigger and gives you a more consistent reaction off of their shot. So when the ball is coming at you, you kind of have to adjust quickly, but if it's coming at you hard, you're ready to react with that firm volley technique, and you're really just pushing it like this, right? You're just pushing it towards your opponent. If she's giving me a forehand, same idea. I'm literally just moving my paddle forward with a firm wrist. Very little motion in my elbow and wrist, mainly just my shoulder. And I'm just sort of shoving the ball, right? If I use a loose wrist here, I literally didn't even make contact with that shot, right? So you're keeping your wrist nice and firm so that your sweet spot expands. You really have to focus on hitting the center here too, because if you miss off center, it kind of feels weird. But if you do this properly, you should get very good at hitting firm volleys off your opponent's hard shots. And if you ever feel like you're having trouble, like you can't seem to hit a clean shot when your opponent's hitting hard, like they hit hard at you and your paddle's like moving or you're just dropping everything short, that could actually not be your fault. It could be your paddle. So if you're looking for a paddle that has a bigger sweet spot, it makes it easier to defend against players like this. Highly recommend checking out our new paddle, the Gen 4.5. The paddle just has a naturally big sweet spot, even without adding lead tape. So if you're struggling with handling these hard shots, it's a great paddle to sort of give you a little bit of a boost there. It's also a very poppy paddle, which means that when your opponents are hitting hard at you, you can kind of just like punch it a little bit, and it has a lot of power without much energy being put into it. This makes it easier to have better reactions because I really don't have to put much into the ball to hit a nice deep volley at my opponent's feet. So if you want a better, poppier paddle with a bigger sweet spot, go check out our new one, the Gen 4.5, and use code FOAM at checkout for $20 off. Now guys, we're gonna go through some examples of what using this process looks like in real points. There I did a very good job of hitting a deep return. He tried to go for a drive, but he doesn't have a very good backhand drive, so I was able to take his higher drive and go towards the open court. So when they give you one of those higher drives, you don't have to go right at their feet. You can go for the gaps in the court and end the point immediately. There was a good example of how you shouldn't be a banger against a banger. So they were hitting hard at me. They put me in a bad position. So I reset the ball into the kitchen, made them do something they're not comfortable with, which is use their soft game. Then they went for a speed up at a bad time and I was able to counterattack. So don't be a banger against a banger and use finesse when you're playing against them. But if they hit hard at you, sometimes you have to counterattack. So sometimes you do need to hit it hard. Don't repeatedly hit it soft at them, but don't be a banger against a banger. There, Kennedy went for a drive at me, which Drew might not have been expecting because players that are playing with bangers don't always know they're gonna hit a drive. What I did was I immediately counterattacked right at Drew, who wasn't ready for that hard shot to come at him, and he missed. So you can make use of this. Whenever a banger hits hard at you, it's a good idea to redirect towards their partner. There was an example. I didn't hit the best return. Drew hit a very good drive. I missed it. Sometimes when you're playing a banger, they're just gonna hit a good shot. You have to play the odds and move on to the next point. Keep executing your strategy. Sometimes they're gonna do something really good and they're gonna win the point. But if you do this over time, the odds will work in your favor and you'll win most of the points. There was a perfect example of how I can take a drive that's not that good, go right at one of the banger's feet. She can't really do anything there, and I got the point. So that is a good example of when you're playing a banger, you need to be ready for them to hit a lot of their drives long. So I had a pretty low return there, and I saw Kennedy going for a drive. She has to hit that up to get it over the net. So right when she was hitting that, I know she might be hitting this ball long. So whenever you're at the net against a banger, just have in the back of your mind, their shot might fly out. If the ball is going above your shoulder very hard, get out of the way as quickly as you can, and you're gonna get a lot of free points like that. There, I didn't get in quite quickly enough. My ready position wasn't set that early. So Drew went kind of right at my right shoulder. I didn't get the paddle there in time, so I missed it in the net. So remember, get there early with a strong ready position and you'll react quickly. There, another classic example. I got a higher drive from the banger, went right towards the target of Kennedy's left foot, sort of out to her left foot. Very hard spot to hit the ball hard from, and I got the point as a result. If you guys want to see a video where I teach you some secret tricks that pros use to have faster hands, watch this.